Welcome to my channel, Veterans Legacy. Sometimes, the quietest people hide the loudest stories. And today's story is about a janitor, a man who worked in silence, sweeping floors, mopping hallways, and emptying trash cans at a Navy SEAL training gym. But when the commander noticed the small tattoo on his neck, everything stopped. The morning sun had barely touched the Pacific horizon when the SEALs began their brutal workout routine. The gym echoed with the sound of metal clanging, boots pounding on the floor, and grunts of determination. Among the roaring energy, one man moved slowly, pushing a mop across the wet floor, his back slightly bent, his expression calm and distant. He was known simply as Old Jack. Nobody really knew his last name, and nobody cared to ask. He kept to himself, cleaned up after the soldiers, repaired the benches, polished the medals in the display case, and disappeared before anyone could thank him. "Morning, old-timer," one of the young SEAL recruits called out sarcastically as he walked by. "Don't work too hard, huh?" Jack smiled faintly, nodding. "Just doing my job, son." To the recruits, he was invisible, a background figure in their world of sweat and pride. Some of them joked that he must have been a janitor all his life. None of them could have imagined the truth that lay behind those quiet, steady eyes. That afternoon, as the team wrapped up their training, Commander Eric Dalton, a man respected by every SEAL in the unit, walked through the gym, clipboard in hand. His sharp eyes caught everything: posture, discipline, and cleanliness. As he passed by the locker room, he noticed Jack kneeling by the corner, scrubbing the tile floor. Dalton was about to move on when something caught his attention: a faint mark on the side of Jack's neck, half hidden under his collar. A tattoo. Not just any tattoo. A small black trident, the unmistakable emblem of the Navy SEALs, accompanied by 3 stars. Dalton froze. His heart kicked up a beat. Only a few SEALs in history had ever earned the right to wear that insignia with those stars. It represented not only service, but valor, survival, and missions so classified that even commanders didn't know the full details. "Excuse me," Dalton said, his voice sharp. "Where did you get that tattoo?" Jack turned his head slowly, his blue-gray eyes calm. "This old thing." He gave a small smile. "Got it a long time ago." Dalton crouched beside him. "That's a SEAL trident, with 3 stars. That means Tier 1. Where'd you serve, son?" Jack didn't answer right away. He just dipped the mop back into the bucket, wrung it out, and kept scrubbing. "Afghanistan. Iraq. A few places that never made the news." The commander blinked. His voice dropped low. "What's your full name?" Jack hesitated, then spoke softly. "Jack Harlow." Dalton's eyes widened. That name, it couldn't be. Commander Jack Harlow. The legend. The man who led the Delta SEAL joint operation during Operation Silent Phantom. A mission so dangerous, so secret, that most of the files were still blacked out decades later. The man who saved 20 soldiers under heavy fire, who refused evacuation until the last of his men was out. The man who disappeared without a trace after that mission. And now he was standing here, pushing a mop. The next day, the SEALs gathered for training as usual. But word had already spread: the janitor wasn't just a janitor. Some said he used to be a sniper. Others whispered he was a ghost from the CIA. Nobody really knew, but everyone was curious. During the midday break, a few of the younger SEALs approached him. "Hey, old man," one said, trying to sound confident, "Commander says you used to be one of us." "That true?" Jack looked up from his cleaning cart. "Once upon a time." The others laughed. "Yeah, right, prove it." Jack's gaze drifted toward the far wall, a thick metal plate used for strength tests. Without saying a word, he picked up one of the 45-pound iron bars lying nearby. With a smooth, effortless motion, he swung it over his head and slammed it into the center of the plate. The bar bent completely, with a loud metallic snap. The room went silent. He laid the twisted bar down gently, then looked back at them. "You don't have to be loud to be strong, boys." Later that week, Commander Dalton invited Jack to his office. "Sir, Jack," Dalton began carefully, "I looked you up. The files on Operation Silent Phantom, they're mostly classified. But your name came up more than once. Jack smiled faintly. Yeah, they called it silent, for a reason. Why'd you leave, sir? You could have stayed, trained new teams, written your own legacy. Jack looked out the window, where the young SEALs were doing push-ups under the sun. Legacy isn't about medals or books, Commander. It's about the men who came home, and the ones who didn't. He paused, his voice lowering. After my last mission, I promised myself I'd never pick up a rifle again. Too many ghosts. Dalton leaned back, studying him. And now you clean floors for a living. Jack chuckled softly. I clean up after heroes. It's an honor. A few days later, the SEAL team faced a brutal evaluation drill, a combat simulation meant to test everything from endurance to tactical strategy. Halfway through, one of the recruits panicked after an explosion simulation. He froze, unable to move, clutching his chest as smoke filled the training room. Dalton yelled for medical aid, but before anyone could react, Jack dropped his mop and sprinted straight into the smoke. His body moved with precision, every step low and silent, every turn calculated. He reached the recruit, pulled him to safety, and applied pressure to a fake wound like it was second nature. The medics arrived seconds later, but Dalton had seen enough. Where the hell did you learn to move like that? One of the recruits asked afterward, his eyes wide. Jack simply smiled. Old habits die hard. From that moment, the men's attitude toward him changed completely. No one mocked him anymore. They greeted him with respect. Some even asked for advice. And though he was reluctant, Jack began sharing small lessons. How to control breathing under stress, how to move silently, how to sense danger before it happens. He never bragged. He just taught. Quietly, patiently. One evening, Commander Dalton invited everyone to a small ceremony. The gym lights dimmed, the flag was lowered, and the projector flickered to life. On the screen were photos, grainy, black and white images of a younger Jack Harlow leading his team through hostile territory, carrying wounded soldiers, guiding helicopters under fire. Dalton stepped up to the podium. Men, he said, his voice thick with emotion, we spend our lives chasing legends. But sometimes, legends walk among us, quietly, humbly, without asking for recognition. He turned toward Jack. Sir, it's an honor to serve in the same building as you. The entire gym stood at attention. Every SEAL, every recruit, even the cooks and medics, saluted the old janitor. Jack's eyes glistened, but he shook his head gently. No, Commander, the honor's mine. You boys carry the torch now. Just remember, the uniform doesn't make the man. The heart does. Weeks later, Jack finished his shift as usual, locked up the gym, and stepped outside into the cool night air. The sea breeze hit his face, and for a moment, he closed his eyes. He could almost hear the faint echoes of his brothers, laughing, shouting, calling out orders. He smiled to himself. The next morning, when the crew came in, his cart was gone. On the bench by the entrance lay a folded Navy SEAL flag and a handwritten note. Greater than, thank you for letting me serve one more time, Jack Harlow. Underneath the note was his old SEAL trident, worn and scratched but still gleaming under the morning light. Commander Dalton stood silently, holding the insignia in his hand. Rest easy, brother, he whispered. You've already done your part. To this day, no one really knows where Jack went. Some say he moved up north to live by the ocean. Others say he visited the graves of his fallen teammates and finally found peace. But inside that SEAL gym, on the wall above the main entrance, hangs a framed photograph of the quiet janitor who once swept their floors. Below it reads one simple line. He served in silence, so others could speak in freedom. Thank you for watching this emotional story on Veterans Legacy. If this story touched your heart, please, like, comment, and subscribe. Share it to honor every silent hero who walks among us.